Hello and welcome everyone to our latest online event here at the University of California, Merced. We're so thrilled that you're taking time out of your evening to join us. My name is Ricky Hill and I'm an e-recruiter here at UC Merced. Tonight you are in for a very special treat. We will be focusing on the School of Social Sciences, Humanities and Arts. Also, we lovingly refer to that school as SHA, so you may hear us interchange those two terms. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. Let me go ahead and give you a couple of quick tips before we get started. If you would like to adjust your audio settings, please click the lower left corner of your screen in the audio settings area and you can make those changes there. If you would like to adjust the size of your window, you can do so by clicking View Options in the upper portion of your screen. Lastly, and most importantly, please take advantage of the Q&A button located at the lower portion of your screen. This event has been specially designed for you, our new incoming Bobcats. We are here to help walk you through that process and help you get on the right foot and on the right track for your academic journey here at UC Merced. So definitely take advantage of the question and answer session that we will offer you towards the end of the program. Once again, just click the Q&A button, send in your question. We are fully staffed behind the scenes as well, so you may get a response in a text format on the screen. Otherwise, we might actually be answering your question live later on, so stick around for that. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Ricky Hill. It's my great honor to moderate this event this evening. At this time, I would like to hand things over to my colleague, Brenda.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're so glad that you were able to join us today. I will shortly give you a brief overview of what you will be hearing about today. You will hear today from our faculty, Professor David Torres-Roof, as well as Professor Virginia Van Lifante. They will give you information on the different types of research opportunities that are available to you at UC Merced, not only in the classroom, but as well as outside of the classroom. You'll also hear from some current students who have gone through Undergraduate Research Opportunity Center, or referred to as UROC, research experience themselves. And then we will have some time at the end for some question and answers. Next, I'll give you some brief information related to academic advising. For SHA Academic Advising is composed by professional staff and peer mentors. Academic advisors and peer mentors assist students with academic planning and course selection for the current semesters as well as upcoming semesters. You all should be receiving emails within the next week with course recommendations from an academic advisor. So please make sure to check your UC Merced email addresses next week. Again, you will be receiving email addresses or emails with specific course recommendations for your Fall 21 course enrollments. We also provide assistance with long-term planning as well as participation in special programs such as study abroad and other co-curricular experiences. We assist students in choosing a major, a minor. Information on relevant. Some of those policies can be a little challenging for students to understand at first, so we are always more than happy to assist students understand those. We also provide advice and help students plan during times of academic difficulty. We want to ensure that you receive the support available to you to assist you in achieving your academic goals, especially when you may be experiencing some challenges. We also provide workshops on registration and other important topics as needed, especially for any mandatory meetings that our students have to complete. And like always, we do also provide referrals to campus and other community resources. Academic advisors are always more than happy and available to assist students from before you get to campus to once you arrive all the way through your graduation. For those of you new Bobcats that will be joining UC Merced as first-year students, you will be academically advised by the Bobcat Advising Center. Throughout your first year at UC Merced, their academic advising team is more than prepared and willing and eager to assist you through your transition to UC Merced. I will now pass it on to Professor Virginia Danlifuentes, so she may provide you some information as it relates to the different research available to you within her department.
Thank you, Brenda. First of all, I just want to welcome you to UC Merced and also congratulate you and your family for being accepted to the University of California, which is a great accomplishment, and I hope you and your families are very proud of it. I'm a teaching professor at UC Merced. I've been working at the university since 2004, so I had the opportunity to see how this university grow every year. I study my undergraduate studies in Spain, is the country where I grew up, and I came to the United States with 23 years to complete my PhD at the University of California, Santa Barbara. In addition to teaching, I also have a research project. The areas where I do my research are second language acquisition and also representation of domestic violence in Hispanic cultures. So sometimes I have the opportunity to teach classes that are related to those areas of specialization. I'm part of the Department of Literature, Languages, and Cultures, where I'm the director of the Spanish program and the World Languages program. And the Spanish program has different opportunities for students to do research. Sometimes when we think about research, people think about science or engineering, but the truth is that in all the programs of our School of Social Science, Humanities and Arts, our students are involved in some kind of research project, especially those that really want to do it. And Spanish is not an exception. We have many ways to do research. As you know, research is to look for information, but also to do something new with all that information that we found. And finally, to present that information. So that new thing we created. So other people know about it, and hopefully we help somebody with that information we share with them. So what you have here are some examples of the ways that our students are involved in research. One of them is through service learning, and we have this class, Spanish 170, that is Spanish for health professionals. And a student look for information about some problems, health problems the community, Hispanic community have. They prepare they prepare poster information, flyers that sometimes they take to clinics, and finally they participate in one is called Feria de Salud, where we invite students from high school that speak Spanish, and our students present that information about how to improve their health to those students. One year we collaborate, my class on domestic violence, collaborate with the class of Spanish 17 170, and my students participate in the Feria de Salud with a workshop about domestic violence. And the pictures you have here are the students from high school attending the workshop on domestic violence that my students offer. So this is a way to present your research, because my students research the topic of domestic violence and how they are represented in culture. And that's what they presented to the high school students. But also we have professors that always welcome students to help them in their research. So they help the professors to find that information and to produce the new things that sometimes are the books that faculty write, but the collaboration between student and faculty in that projects is very, very important, and it's a way for students to learn directly from the professors how to use the tools to research and how to put together all that information that they are they found. But you know, you don't need to think that you only can do research like outside the class. Day to day in your classrooms, you also are doing research. And like, for example, in my classes, and my classes are not an exception. I know that many professors do the same. We have little projects that students do as part of the class. Like, for example, in the pictures, in one of the pictures you see here, there is a student doing an oral presentation. So I give the student a topic, and the student go and do the research, put things together, and then they share the information they found in an oral presentation. But also, sometimes your instructors ask you to write papers, and that's research too. And it's a way, again, to show you how to do this research that later on in your professional life is gonna be so helpful for you. Also, in the classrooms, you have the opportunity to work as part of a team. Like in the picture, one of the pictures you see here, there is a class, a classroom we have at the university where students sit in these big tables, and each table has their own screen to do work with a team. And doing work with a team, research work in a team, is also something that sometimes the students at the beginning do not like to do too much because they are shy, and because sometimes it's difficult to work with a group. But at the end, after doing this many times, students appreciate the teamwork and the opportunity to do this kind of activities in the class. And again, teamwork is one of the tools that you will need in your professional life. So that's why we are making sure that we offer the opportunity for you to practice while you're at university. And I don't want to take more time. I can talk and talk, so I'm going to let Professor David Torres Roof to also explain a little bit the kind of research project his department do.
Thank you so much, Virginia. Welcome, everybody. Really excited to see so many people here. We're thrilled to have you joining the UC Merced family in fall. We're very excited, and it's a great privilege to have the chance to talk to you all today. My name is David Torres-Roof, and I have the tremendous privilege of serving as the chair of the Department of History and Critical Race and Ethnic Studies at UC Merced. Our department is built around a core set of principles, which are up here, but I just want to emphasize that we work all the time to meet students where they are, to build on their knowledge, and to build a strong learning community and culture. This is among the most important things for us. Regardless of our individual specialties as researchers, we tell stories about people, places, and power in the past and in the present. In our research and our teaching, we think about activism in the face of oppression, and we always connect the local to the global, because every story that seems local is really a global story in its own way too. In our department, we offer two different majors. The first is in Critical Race and Ethnic Studies. This is a course of study based on the premise that race is a social construction developed through law, culture, and society. And this major allows us to examine systems of power and domination, as well as to highlight and imagine struggles for liberation and self-determination. We offer a second major in history, as our name would imply. And this major in history is, in some sense, like your traditional history major, but it's a little bit different in that we focus not so much on thematic and time period based or on time periods, but on themes that connect people around the globe in our department. As teachers and scholars, these are the practices that tie us together: to engage in a global curriculum with local expertise, to invest in undergraduate education, and to nurture engaged citizenship and community participation. We create knowledge and opportunities for our students by promoting study abroad and at the UC Center, Washington, D.C., by bringing scholars to visit our classrooms, and now virtually, of course. But we also do a great deal of mentored research, which I'm going to spend some time talking about. If you look at the one color photo there in the foreground, that's history major Ramon Barragan preparing an exhibition at the Merced County Courthouse Museum. In developing that mission, our students learn from the most diverse faculty in the UC system, which we have in our department. More than half of our faculty are first gen, and 75% of our 16 faculty members come from backgrounds of traditionally underrepresented ethnic communities in the United States of America. We are committed, in addition to offering a faculty that matches our student body, small upper division classes where our students engage with their peers and teachers. And as part of that, our students have a nearly unprecedented opportunity to engage in guided and mentored research with faculty. So many of my colleagues, almost all of us, offer research projects in our lower and upper division courses. Some of these are small scale research that you would go do just in books at the library, but we also often teach with primary sources and field research methods in our upper division classes. So for example, I teach a class called Life and Death in the Old West, where students read 1 week of a 19th century newspaper and then write an essay basically based on what they found in the newspaper. Some of them might just even write about all the advertisements. And that gives them a chance to learn about the society of the past from the eyes of the people who lived through it. Several of our faculty also mentor students through UC Merced's Undergraduate Research Opportunity Center, and you'll notice that we like to give names to everything that has letters, so we call that UROC, and then the H there is for the humanities. These are mentored research opportunities for students and faculty. The students work closely with faculty members to participate in ongoing research projects. They also go to a summer institute where they get training, and then inside of that, they develop their own individual projects, and I'll talk a little bit about some examples of that. But I do want to say that this has been a tremendous springboard to professional graduate study, both in PhD programs, but also into programs in law, public policy, and public health. UROC alums from the last 4 years are currently working at top programs at Princeton, UC Berkeley, UCLA, and the University of Wisconsin, just to name a few. And I'm going to show you some examples of that. So this is part of a research presentation from the end of a summer of research in UROC H by Kevin Tejas Aldana, who just graduated from UC Merced. And Kevin was working with Professor Sabrina Smith on populations of African descent in Oaxaca during the 1600s. And so what you see there is some of the archival material that he got to work with, and then the set of research questions and methodologies that he developed. So he learned some of this through the mentors in UROC, and then he mostly spent the 8 weeks of summer working one-on-one with Professor Smith. I've worked on a few research projects with students that are based at this building, which today, if you know the town, is Merced County's Courthouse Museum. I'm a historian, so I like to have a historical photo. One of the projects I've been working on for the last several years is a project to recover and re-people Merced's historical Chinese community, which is bulldozed and currently lies under the lanes of traffic on Highway 99 near the MLK exit. I've had students do a great deal of work to help me re-people, relocate, and socially and spatially reconstruct Merced's Chinese community. Two of them put together this incredible story map, and I'm going to drop the URL for it in the chat so that if you want to see later just like the kind of work that the students are doing, you'll have a chance to do that. Can I get the next slide? So this is an old map of Merced, and then there circled in red is where the Chinese community used to be. You see the train tracks, which if you know Merced, or you don't, you'll learn it, is between 15th and 16th Street. And then this building, I'm showing you with my mouse like you could see, but I don't think you can. But the building in the upper left, the big building, is the courthouse, which was in the previous slide. So this is a picture we found of Chinatown in the 1880s. That's actually my background. I'm sitting in my research because I really enjoy it. And if you show me the next slide, UROC also offers students an opportunity to prepare a public humanities project where they turn the research that was academic over the summer into something for the general public during the fall and spring semesters. So this is a poster generated by my student Madeline Lara, and sort of shows off the specific work she's done on the health district in the city of Merced. So one of the opportunities that our students have, whether it's just the research they do for a class or the research they do for UROC, is that our students run an undergraduate journal in history and critical race and ethnic studies. The editor-in-chief is students, the editorial board is students, it's peer-reviewed journal, and it's published on the UC's eScholarship platform. So it actually is published peer-reviewed scholarship. We put 2 issues out every year that have book reviews, articles, and creative pieces in them. And what you're looking at on the left there is actually a cover that came from the newspaper project that someone did in one of my Life and Death in the Old West, class. So that's a picture of Coronado, California. And she was studying police and incarceration in chain gangs there. So this is a great opportunity, not only to have mentoring and research, but to turn that into publication and then use that obviously as a springboard into various career opportunities. And if you show me the last slide, I just want to show the diversity of fields that students in history and critical race and ethnic studies go into, that this research prepares you for a variety of career pathways, whether they be academic or otherwise. I try to always tell my students that if you can do research and communicate effectively, which I think learning how to do research helps you do, that you have a skill set that every employer wants their employees to have. So this is a really great opportunity for you to build towards your own future. And the exciting thing is that we have 4 students who are alums of the UROC program in summers here to talk to you about the other side of this, right? Their experience as students in these classes. So I'm going to pass it to them now. And I thank you so much for your attention. And if you have any questions, please feel free to light me up in the Q&A or in the chat, and we'll get to them. Thanks so much.
Hi, so I'm Yingwei Zhang, or Anna, and I am one of the UROC alumni.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Vay. I'm also a UROC alumni during the summer of 2020 as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dylan, and I'm a first-generation student. I just graduated from UC Merced this past month, and I majored in psychology and minored in cognitive science. And I was admitted to UROC's SSHA SURF program during the summer 2020.
We will go ahead and move into our question and answer session. Actually, what I'd like to do first is just allow each one of you to give a little bit of an introduction and your experience within UROC. Anna, can we start with you?
Of course. So as I said, I'm Anna. I am going to be a 4th year this year, and my major is in English. I'm a writing studies minor. And last summer, I worked with Dr. Catherine Steele Brokaw on a project called Shakespeare and Ecodramaturgy. How can theater and Shakespeare help promote green practices within communities? And I also interned for her on an eco initiative called Earthshakes, which is international, and it's between theaters, and they're all trying to promote green practices within their companies. And it launched this spring, I believe, at the Globe for Globe Theater, or Globe for Globe conference.
Michael, looks like you've unmuted. Would you like to go next?
Yeah, so as mentioned, my name is Michael. I'm a recent graduate with a public health major and a minor in psychology. And during my time at UROC last year, I worked with Dr. Jennifer Howe and a graduate student, Jacqueline Hua. And basically we examined physician-patient communication and how this theory called the health regulatory focus and how it relates to these different outcomes and physician-patient relationship.
Wonderful. Dylan, passing it over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry, I briefly gave a little bit of my introduction, but to reiterate, I graduated from UC Merced last month, and I majored in psychology with a minor in cognitive science. And last summer in UROC, I worked with Dr. Christina Backer, who's a professor in the Cognitive Information Sciences department. And my research project focused on how word frequency affects an illusion called the speech-to-song illusion, which essentially occurs when repetition of normal speech phrases creates the illusion where we begin to perceive the speech as more song-like rather than speech-like, such as they begin to have or sound like they have a rhythm to it or a beat to it.
Very interesting. Thank you all for those responses. Let's go ahead and go with our first question. And Anna, I'd like to start with you again. What inspired you to join this program, and what did you gain from being a part of undergraduate research?
I think I've always known that I want to go into academia even before going to college. I mean, I come from a whole line of professors and teachers, so it's kind of natural that I would be directed into that route by myself. So unlike I think a few of my fellow alumni, I was actually invited by Dr. Brokaw to work with her. I initially expressed reluctance just because I felt, oh, maybe I don't have enough skills yet, but luckily she reassured me. And so I hopped on a board, and I don't regret it. The one thing that I believe I gained the most from UROC is the hands-on experience, because in a classroom setting, you don't really get to practice those. And in that type of environment, it's very safe. And I believe that when you are doing research, and I think I was, my mentor, she knew that perhaps I was I needed a bit more freedom with my projects. So I was glad that I could take risks by myself. And I was very glad to have her at my side just to guide me whenever I needed it.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Anna. I'd like to hand the next question over to Michael. What has been your connection between your coursework and/or your major and your research project?
For sure. So the weird thing is that my major is public health, but most of my research projects are in psychology. So the connection is that public health and psychology are very kind of similar as well. The department here at UC Merced, both Department of Public Health and Psychology work closely together, specifically the health psychology program. So my project is basically in social psych and health psych, and we wanted to see how these outcomes affect health overall. So in a way, like they use a lot of similar methods, such as like research methods as well.
Great, thank you so much for that, Michael. And let's move on to the next question. If I can send this one over to Dylan. And what about our school has provided you a unique experience and important academic and research experiences to you as a student? So what has been unique as being part of UC Merced?
So UC Merced is a really small school compared to others and is rapidly growing. So the number one thing about UC Merced that helped me become the person I am today is that there are so many opportunities to directly talk and work with faculty one-on-one. And not only is this helpful for faculty office hours if you need help studying or help with homework, but being able to talk with faculty really helped me seize opportunities that otherwise would not have been available to me at other schools, such as research experience. So I think there are just really endless opportunities at UC Merced to network with faculty, and that's super important for finding opportunities. For example, through one-on-one mentorship with my writing professor at the time, Professor Yogita Maharaj, I was able to publish a literature review I wrote during my writing course in UC Merced's Undergraduate Research Journal. And UC Merced is really big on research. So, and while other schools may not be research schools at all, those opportunities might be really hard to find. And on top of that, I would like to say that everyone at UC Merced, both fellow students and the faculty members, are super nice. It's a non-judgmental environment, and it's just a really great environment to thrive in, to study in, and just to grow professionally and personally.
Absolutely, could not agree with you more. Thank you for that, Dylan. All right, so the next question I'd like to throw out to our panel. For the first 2 years of studies, do you all mainly focus on general education? Or would you say that for a first-year student coming in, do they start working on courses related to their major, or do they wait until later on?
In my personal experience, I kind of had a bit of both, where I took care of the lower division courses for my major, which is English, and I kind of did that along with my GEs. And I think personally that it's very flexible, as long as you can work with your counselor to make sure that you are getting all your requirements fulfilled. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any shame in doing your GEs during your 3rd or 4th year. So if you're thinking that's like the issue, then it's not.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. The next question has to do with academic advising. So we have someone writing into us and asking, will we be able to have a one-on-one meeting with our advisor to discuss things, or will it just be back and forth through email messages?
Yes, you are able to meet with your academic advisor. It is actually very encouraged for you to meet with your academic advisor and remain in contact with them. Right now, the communications you're receiving are primarily or are via email because we're in the process of onboarding you all and again, preparing course recommendations for your first semester. But absolutely, all academic advising offices during the academic year have walk-in hours where you can just show up and meet with an academic advisor, or you can also schedule an appointment to meet with your academic advisor.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brenda. And here's another one somewhat related to that you might want to help us out with. If someone needs help in exploring careers and majors, how and when and where can they do that or find help with that?
Your academic advisor is definitely someone that can help, especially if you're considering a double majoring or adding a minor or a couple of minors. You also have access to career specialists within the Center for Career and Professional Advancement, or CCPA. They're able to assist you in narrowing down your likes and incorporating that into a field of study via a major and or a minor as well.
Could I add on to that real quick?
Absolutely.
I wanted to say something that helped me with like career-wise. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Talking to professors really helped with that. I just found what I was interested in, and then I went to that professor and asked like, hey, what are some things I could do with this? And UC Merced also has multiple career fairs, and I found those super helpful because it's basically where a bunch of companies come to the school. And companies such as Apple, I remember Apple being there, and you can just walk around and talk to those different companies. And I know a lot of people also got like internship offers through those career fairs. So those are also great resources.
Very good. Thank you so much for that. I'd like to move on to the topic of psychology. Is the workload of being a psychology major too much to double major?
I'm a psychology major. I would say definitely not. I know a lot of people that double majored in psychology and cognitive science or psychology and public health. So it's definitely not too much to handle. It's very doable. I personally minored in cognitive science, but part of me does wish I double majored. So I would talk to your advisor because they also help with showing you what your workload would look like. But I personally know a lot of people that were able to double major.
Very good. And staying with you for just another second, Dylan, would you say that that's a similar response if someone's asking about minoring in something at the same time as being in psychology as your major?
Yes. So my experience is actually pretty funny because I didn't plan on minoring in cognitive science, but I really loved cognitive science. So I was taking a lot of classes because they also fulfilled some of my requirements. And then I had a meeting with my advisor and she was like, oh, by the way, you already completed a cognitive science minor. All you have to do is declare for it. So I would say minors are very doable because for me, I didn't have to really go out of my way to do it because it also completed my psychology requirements as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And one last question about psychology. How large are the class sizes in that particular subject?
So as a psychology minor, I took a couple of psychology lower gen class, and the lower more like broader. So you have a lot more students, like 300 around there. However, as you advance to like upper division, such as health psychology, specifically such as health psychology, you have smaller classes where you can work on one-on-one with your professor as well. So around there, you have like 80 students compared to like a larger students amount in a lower ed class.
And if you really like small classes, there's also a lot of small classes for psych. Like I think the smallest I've seen is like 30 students. I actually had a class that was 20 students recently, but I'd say majority, like Michael said, are like 60, 80, unless it's like a more broad, like Psych 1, Intro to Psych.
If I may add, I took Cognitive Science 1 in my first year, and the class was very big. It was in one of the bigger auditoriums, but even though it's a really big class compared to, I'd say, most of my classes, which are maybe 30 people at most, you won't be neglected because we do have amazing TAs who are hosting the discussion classes weekly, which you do have to attend, but you won't be neglected, I promise, even if the classes are big.
Great, thank you so much. And Brenda, can you talk about and give some advice about when a student should decide about their major?
The sooner is obviously better, just because you're able to plan out your classes and your requirements. And especially if you're interested in double majoring or adding on a minor, it's the earlier the better. Really, you should do it per policy before you earn 60 units. So before you become a junior. But we've had students come in declared one major, and that's the major they lead with. We've also had students change their major their second year. We've seen some change their major even their third year, and they're still able to graduate on time. It takes a little more specific planning and maybe even some summer courses, but the sooner the better, but definitely before you reach junior standing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And you mentioned planning. So let's go on to this next question. A student is asking, can you guys share from your perspective, and we'll go to each one of our student panelists, what would be useful information on how to schedule? What type of advice would you have for the new incoming Bobcats?
I think making it a habit, developing habits, it makes everything easier. Like before the pandemic, I would go to Coffee Bandits every Saturday just to get my essays done. I would get like the same cold brew and just sit in the same seat. And I think that helped me keep my productivity up, just having like a set place to do your work. And it doesn't have to be a cafe outside somewhere. It could be just in your living room or your dorm room.
So for me, I usually set like a reminder, for example, like set up from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on my calendar. So if you guys have access to your Outlook mail, you could put like reminders on your calendar, and it automatically reminds like 5 minutes or like 30 minutes before. So I usually do that. And then like Anna said, we have like a lot of places to study around here, such as the library, which is amazing.
As for me, I would say develop a routine. Routines really helped me because when I didn't have one, I was sort of all over the place. I didn't know what I was doing. And the biggest advice for like time management or your coursework, I would say know your deadlines, because it's just like the worst when you forget a deadline, and that's how you forget to turn in an assignment. And as you can see, I have like a whiteboard. I can't really point a whiteboard right there. That like saved my life in college because I was able to write down my deadlines. So that helped a ton. Or even the calendar app on my iPhone and my computer, I would put my deadlines there as well.
Looks like we have a hand raised. David, would you like to share?
Yeah, I'm gonna chime in as an adult who you don't want to listen to, but I just want to say this, which is that while you should absolutely look at your major and think about what you need to do to check off the requirements for a major in your first few years, remember that this is the one opportunity in your life that you get to go to a place where there's a bunch of nerds who decided they wanted to teach students for a living about the things that they really care about. And you should look for classes that look interesting to you, regardless of whether or not they help you with your major or they lead to a career path or anything else, because I can tell you now that like every year I see the schedule, even in my own department, of a bunch of classes I wish I could go take. So like my biggest suggestion would be like, don't worry about what time of day it is, or if it means you have to go to class on a Friday, because like you're gonna have plenty of Fridays to fool around over the course of your life. You have plenty of days to sleep in over the course of your life. If there's a really awesome sounding class that meets at 7:30 in the morning on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, take it. That's the advice I have, because the classes I took for my own entertainment and education are the ones actually that I remember, even more than some of the history classes I took, and I've dedicated my life to being a historian. But like I took a class on the philosophy of existentialism in literature and film in my first year at UC Berkeley, and met a horrible time. And it's still the best class I ever had. It's probably better than any class I've ever taught. And like my life is different because I took it. So that is just one plea I want to make to you guys in terms of answering that question, is like, take this as a chance to like turn your brain on to exciting and interesting things, because you're paying the money anyway. So you might as well get something cool out of it.
Go for it, Brenda. Amazing advice.
To add on to what David said, one of the great things about SHA majors is you can satisfy degree requirements with various options. So our majors aren't as sequential as your traditional STEM majors, so natural sciences or engineering majors. There's areas that you have to satisfy within your degree requirements. So you have the option to select from a list of various courses to satisfy that degree requirement. So totally using what David just recommended is completely doable to still maximize on taking courses that are really of interest to you, but you're still satisfying requirements.
Amazing advice from everyone. All right, so we are nearing the end of this 1-hour program. Once again, an amazing opportunity for our audience tonight. And this hour is just zoomed by. So this is incredible, all the great information coming out. So let's go ahead, taking a look again at the clock, let's go ahead and do one more question. And I'll open this up to everyone on the panel, both on screen and off. Is UROC for everyone? Go for it, David.
Yeah, I didn't know this was going to be answered on screen, and I Bigfoot professored over everything and answered with a link to the UROC homepage. But UROC has programs for people in lab science, for people in social science, and for people in humanities. It's a great opportunity. There are different, I mean, the programs work, so UROC H works different than Surrey, works different than SURF. But if you talk to the people in the school, like if you're going to be a SHA major, if you talk to Brenda, or if you talk to any of the faculty members in your department of your major, and remember, don't be shy, right? Like we all pick this job. We're happy to talk to you. Don't be afraid of us. We're not scary to talk about how to get into UROC. But at least for the one I know best, which is UROC H, all you have to do is apply. And yes, you can apply as a first-year student. I'm working this year with a student for her 3rd summer. She's going to be a history senior next year. She worked with me the first time as a history first year. And that's Madeline, whose PowerPoint I showed, and she also worked on the story map. And it's just a really great opportunity. And then you can actually continue working with UROC in the SOAR program if you continue to do research. So it's a really great opportunity to build your research portfolio, to develop connection with faculty members, and think about like what you want to do. I mean, I mentor my UROC students on their careers as much as on like how to look at a map from a fire insurance company or read a tax roll.
Amazing. So thank you so much for that information. I did see that you answered it behind the scenes, but I felt like that would be a really great way to wrap up this event. So thank you so much for helping us out with that one. All right. Once again, as we are nearing the end, I'd like to also give Brenda an opportunity to give any last minute words of advice.
Last words of advice. Build relationships, connect with your peers, connect with your professors. Like David said, I know it can be intimidating, or the grownups can be a bit scary, but I promise we're not. We're all here to help you and support you in whatever you need. Even if you think you may be going to the wrong person for help with a question, you're not. At UC Merced, we love our students. We love to help our students. So if we can't answer the question for you, we will find the answer for you or direct you to the person or the people that have the answer to your question. But really build connections, connect again with as many people as you want or as you can. Check your UC Merced email. Get in the habit of checking it daily. You're getting very important information now to your UC Merced email address, but throughout your time at UC Merced, you're going to be getting important information there. Connect with your academic advisor at least once a semester, especially when you're planning courses for the upcoming semester. Last thing we want is for you to take courses that aren't doing or satisfying a requirement for you. I think that's it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Brenda. Thank you again to our expert panelists who were presenters this evening. Thank you as well to our student panelists who, of course, always give us that unique and insight and great perspective that only they can share with our audience. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and for one last word, hand things over to my colleague, Lisa Perry from the Students First Center. Lisa?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you're all excited to start this fall semester. I am Lisa Perry. I'm the director of our Students First Center, and our Students First Center is your one-stop shop for questions about admissions, financial aid, registration, and billing. And I saw some questions come in tonight about financial aid and registration. So if your questions didn't get answered tonight, I dropped our contact information in chat. So please feel free to call us, email us, chat with us, use our virtual drop-in window. We have all those tools. We're happy to help you. Some tips of advice from my perspective. First of all, I think David did an amazing job about explaining, don't be afraid and take classes that you find interesting. Don't just schedule them around your time of day. I think that's great advice. On the administrative side, make sure that you're checking your checklist that's in your Connect account, which is your student portal. That has almost everything you need to do to make sure that you're prepared to start this fall term. If you're a first-year student, you need to be living on campus or filling out the housing exemption form if you live within a certain mile radius. And so make sure you're doing that. Make sure you're checking your UC Merced email, which is also found in your Connect account. And if you have questions or need advice on finding any of those things, give us a call at the Students First Center. I've also seen a lot of questions coming in about work study. We can answer those questions as well. Our phone number is 209-228-7178, and I'll drop the information back in chat again. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And I did just drop that phone number into the chat as you were sharing it, and we'll make sure that we do also include that on the replay. All right, once again, thank you so much, everyone. You've all been a great asset to this program this evening. I definitely hope that our audience enjoyed this event and this program as much as we did by presenting it to you. At this time, as I said, it was my honor to be your moderator, and on behalf of all of my colleagues, both on screen and off at the University of California, Merced, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you again at a future event.